Hi guys. I'm figuring out how to work this thing a little bit better and how to make the software work so it'll let me actually do things where it's not so droning on and on. I can actually create something that makes a little more sense. So let me get over here. I'll be back and forth. Comments. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm loving that blog you got going on. Hi Rita. And somebody else popped up. So that's good. So tonight's going to be kind of interesting. We're doing a lot of different things. I'm going to do, we'll talk on the root chakra, and we're going to go over creating mudras and what each one of the fingers mean. So that'll be kind of fun, especially if you're not really super familiar with how to use mudras and energy work. We're going to do that a little bit. We're going to do a guided meditation for loving kindness. And then I've got an interview. And this is from Elaine from Creative. And she's got an amazing place up there, not just Creative, which she's the business itself, the front end of it's closed. She's still got her studio in there, but she's got a retreat set up at her home. She's got 30 acres of land out there, and the whole place is a huge, beautiful house that's turned into a retreat area. So we're going to talk about that, and that may come into play for some things in the future. Drop a hint there. We'll see. But I've got a cool interview with her coming up later on where she talks about going into India and basically hopping on a plane, going to India, and discovering that she wants to learn yoga and spending months over there, getting her 500-hour certification and learn several different types of yoga. It's a cool story. So, um, before we, yeah, it is awesome. Before I get into it, I'm going to start with the root chakra. Anybody got any thoughts, comments, questions, ideas? How you guys like that new intro? Hey, welcome here. Hold on, I got to do something. This is your first time on here, so I'm going to play with a new toy. So I've had some things when we have great events like somebody cool showing up. Boom. Welcome here. So yeah, it's not super smooth yet because I'm still learning how to work all this stuff and try to make it happen. But it's coming along. This is going to be more of a legitimate podcast later on. I've already got going out to all different types of social medias and everything I can find. So it's just a matter of building it up and putting stuff together. I miss you too. And, uh, you should come next time we do a meditation. It's going to be at the library next month. I'll put the date out next week, and there may be some other locations coming up. So, yeah, super cool to see you. And I sent out a couple of tarot cards from last week today, and everybody should have theirs by the end. Kim, I'll get you yours, which actually looks pretty cool, and stickers and all that stuff. We'll get them to you. I'll do another giveaway probably in about 2 weeks from now. But for now, yes, you should do that. It's a lot of fun. And Kim actually led one last time that was fantastic. So, yeah, so we're building and growing and just trying to reach out and just have a community. That's the whole point, love, light, goodness, all that kind of stuff. So it was, Reese. I really enjoyed that one. It was nice. So I'm fixing to jump into a quick talk on heart chakra, but I'm going to bump off here so I can work some of these other things as it goes. So, um, you ready to get started, everybody? I'm going to take that as a yes. So, this one, we're talking about the heart chakra and some practical things to work with. Now, I want to go ahead and say that I'm not talking about things like what crystal goes with heart chakra and all that sort of stuff, because you guys have a resource for that. You know who to talk to. Sharon's brilliant on that kind of thing. So I'm not going into that. What I'm talking about is more practical tips and more basics. If you haven't taken any chakra courses, if you don't know a lot about it, this will be a good way to ease you into it. We're going to talk about, well, you'll see. Let's go. How in the Western world we use the. So we've talked a lot about the history of the chakras. We've talked a little bit about Kundalini, and we've gone through how in the Western world we use the seven chakra system. Well, we're going to start today with the lowest chakra, the root chakra, And we're going to get into some practical ideas and ways to work with that. The root chakra is your foundation. It's what makes you feel secure, makes you feel safe, makes you feel like everything's okay. And a lot of times, if you're growing up, and most of us had some kind of issue, whether it was abandonment issues or growing up where things were struggling and you weren't always sure how financially things were going to be, all those struggles where you didn't feel secure, you didn't feel like you could just relax and not worry, those stick around with you through life. And the root chakra is basically in the yogic system, it's where those thoughts and issues manifest themselves. So we're going to talk about some of those things, and we're going to talk about some ways to do some healing on that, and actually practical things you can do to work on getting that solid ground back, getting that stability, and getting past some of those issues. Now, my Sanskrit is horrible, but the pronunciation is Muladhadra for the root chakra. We're going to keep everything in English, but you need to know that just because. The system that we're working with is heavily Western influenced, so it makes sense to just keep the Western names. The root chakra helps keep you grounded. When we do grounding exercises, whether it's yoga or any other physical grounding exercise or walking through the forest barefoot, trying to get that feeling, all those things affect the root chakra. The root chakra is about grounding yourself. It's about your survival instincts, that fight or flight, as well as just the basic day to day of food, shelter, all that kind of thing. It's the lower end of the spectrum of chakras, and it's sort of heavier. It's the things that if you can't fix the root chakra issues, nothing else is going to go as far as your chakra work. If you don't do your root chakra first, if you jump in and try to do the third eye or open the crown or any of that without having the root chakra and the lower chakras ready to go, you're going to have problems. It's just how it works. It's what keeps us stable. When the root chakra is unhealed and unbalanced, it leads to feelings of insecurity, of fear, of constant worry. If you notice the symbol on the screen, it's the symbol for the root chakra. It's a four-petaled lotus. And the reason that that's the case is those four petals represent a solid foundation. They also represent the four elements: earth, air, water, and fire, and the four cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. If you'll notice the upside down triangle in the center of the symbol for the root chakra, that represents energy flowing down into the earth for grounding, and that upside down triangle is the alchemical symbol for earth. When we're trying to work with the root chakra, it's one of those things where we're trying to be here and now and present. Mindfulness type meditations work really well for root chakra work because the idea is that we're not worried about the past right now. Now, that we can do nothing about the past. Right? We spend a lot of our time in our lives thinking about things that have gone wrong. We should have done this, should have done that, should have said this, should have said that. And that takes us out of the present moment and leads to feelings of inadequacy, insecurity, all that horrible stuff. If we focus on worrying about the future, not planning, planning is good, but worrying is not. We're worrying about the future. Again, that causes all those insecurities and stress. It gets into that fight or flight mode where all our adrenaline's pumping real high and all those neurotransmitters just start going nuts and making us feel stressed and worried and just jittery and miserable. Our body doesn't digest right. You know, we get headaches and all kinds of horrible things. Your body actually takes away energy and blood from the places where it could actually use it, like the day to day, and puts it into our muscles to where we're ready to spring into action, so we're all tensed up. And all that comes from those worries, worrying about the past, worrying about the future. And one way to help that is with that mindfulness type meditations. And we'll go into deeper aspects of different styles of meditation at some point in time. But for now, just know that that is a good way to work on your root chakra. Get yourself present. Get yourself here, where you're in the moment. You're actually dealing with what's going on right now around you, and not what happened 10 years ago, 2 months ago, or what may happen tomorrow or 6 weeks from now. Because the root chakra is about foundations and security and feeling safe, things that involve that are good for healing it. Now, you have to go back and fix what caused these issues, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But to make you feel better right now, if there's root chakra issues, food is a great way to do this. I'm not going to recommend that you eat something reddish colored or a root vegetable. Those things are great, and that's generally what's taught. What I'm going to recommend is you find those childhood dishes that made you feel really, really good. I mean, if it's something simple, if it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a certain type of bread, if it's a certain stew, something your grandmother used to make that just reminds you of good times, a Sunday dinner type down here, fried chicken, cornbread, that kind of thing. It could be roast beef. What I'm getting at is what reminds you of home, stability, security, and maybe even your ancestors. I mean, if you don't have anything like that from your childhood that you really liked, that really clicks, maybe find out what your ancestors ate from whatever your heritage is and try that. But it's things that give you some sort of connection to home, so to speak. And that can be anything. Like for me, I ate turtle soup growing up. My parents made that. Um, they were older, and for a period of time, we were poor. Not always, but for a period of time. And one of those poverty struggle dishes, some struggle dishes are awesome, but this one, turtle soup, is not. It tastes like poverty to me, so I won't eat it. Other things that my mom made for me or my dad cooked for me, they resonate with me and they make me feel good and connect me with those good feelings. Things like a hug from somebody that matters to you. All these things to make you feel safe and grounded are what you work on for your root chakra. It doesn't matter what color the food is. It doesn't matter whether it grew underground, above ground, uh, it's processed somewhere in a plant. It doesn't matter. If it makes you feel safe and grounded, then that is something that's helpful to you. And a good exercise might be trying to think back to those foods in your childhood that brought those feelings on and revisiting some that you haven't had in a while. Again, the root chakra is about basic needs, so those things connect with the root chakra and help it feel better. Another good exercise is going through family photos, looking through old notes, reminiscing. I mean, even something like watching an old television show that you used to enjoy. Maybe something you watch with your folks or your siblings or people that were important to you when you were young. Snuggle up under a warm blanket on the couch. You know, hot chocolate. All those things that bring about those snuggly feelings. You know, play with your pets. All those things help with the root chakra. They also help on a more physical level. They release oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. So you're getting a dose of hormones and neurotransmitters from those things that actually physically help you and make you feel better about yourself, about the world, and bring a little more pleasure into your life. There are modern practices such as cognitive behavioral therapy that can actually help with the root chakra, because remember, you're dealing with something that is real when we're talking about root chakra issues. Feelings of instability, fear, insecurity, all things that can be addressed using modern techniques to work on the root chakra. For example, in cognitive behavioral therapy, you might work on identifying a thought process. If, like, say, for instance, you feel like everything is just going to go wrong, bad things are going to happen every day, you feel like just nothing's going to go right for you. Well, you would look at the underlying thought process that makes you feel that way. You might, for example, just think that the world is a bad place filled with very bad people. And when you see the news and all these horrible things happening, you feel like it's unsafe to be outside, to be out in the world, like nothing good is going to happen. That thought process might cause you to avoid situations you would normally enjoy, to basically try to avoid all those bad things, which in doing so takes out a lot of good things from your life. So the way you would address that is, first off, recognize it. Recognize when you feel overwhelmed, afraid, stressed, worried, and then notice what actions you take because of those feelings. Now, sometimes those things are warranted, but if you realize that it's in a situation where it's not and you want to change that, you could work on gradually introducing yourself to those situations. Slowly, gently, so you can get a feeling of, hey, this is not so bad, it's going to be okay. Years ago, I suffered from agoraphobia, which is a terrifying feeling of being out and around people in public places. I got over it completely, but it took a bit. And part of the reason I got over it is because Becky would take me out to a particular flea market that was mostly empty. And she'd take me on a weekday when there's nobody there, and gradually up into a Saturday. And it got me back used to being around people. And I know what caused it, I know what triggered all that, and why that happened during that time period in my life, but it was overwhelming. And those things, unless you've experienced them, unless you've felt those powerful emotions that you get from situations like that, whether it be deep depression, whether it be the agoraphobia type thing, all those things, unless you felt it, don't discount it, because some of those things are very hard to get past, and it takes a lot of work. Again, it's a real thing. Now, back to the situation we were discussing about gradually introducing yourself to something and feeling a little safer about it. Another tool that works, again, mindfulness meditations, feeling present in the moment. Body scan meditations and body focus meditations, where you're concentrating on your breath or how your body feels, paying attention to the muscles, paying attention to the feelings physically inside of you, and noticing those helps get you grounded and helps get you back to here, to this moment in time, which again is working for the root chakra. Journaling, of course, is a time tested method to work with the root chakra. But how you want to do it is like this: you want to write down, first of all, things you're grateful for, gratitude journal. That works wonders for a lot of things. But you also want to write down a list of your own strengths, accomplishments, things that you're proud are a part of you, and maybe even a list of people who are supportive of you, people that you know will be there, will support you. It can be a small list. That's fine. It's better to have 5 people that will be there, and it matters, than to have 50 that you don't know. And sometimes there's more out there than you think there are. Those lists will surprise you if you really think hard about the people who you can count on for different things. You can't count on anybody for everything and every aspect of your life, but there are different people in your life that you'll be able to count on for certain things. And just realize that those count. They're there for you. They matter. Write those down. While you're writing, set some goals, but set small, simple goals that you know you can accomplish. Get those little wins. Make those goals something that you know you can handle at least one of every day. Now, again, for some people, if you're depressed and you're having a hard time just functioning at all, and you really need to do this kind of work, make those goals something really simple. You know, pick up one thing and clean one small section of something. You know, get a shower. Something that you know you can accomplish. And sometimes just being able to click that goal and get that little dopamine from finishing something will end up being the motivation that you need. And as you move through those and start clicking off those little goals, make bigger goals, but make it in little tiny small steps that you know you can accomplish. It'll help you stay motivated. It'll help build up feelings of safety and security and structure. Sound is also important for the root chakra. The mantra associated with root chakra balancing is LAM, like LAM, LAM. You can go down a whole rabbit hole with the color frequency and the sound and vibration frequency with this. We'll do that one night, but not tonight because there's a lot to it on the sound and on the color. So we've gone over tonight some of the issues with the root chakra and some of the techniques to work on starting to fix that. Again, the root chakra is the foundation for everything else. Fix that, work with that, and it's going to be a constant thing. Working with your chakras and keeping them balanced is ongoing. It's not you do it once and you're good. You got to keep it up. But this will give you some ideas on how to start building a solid foundation to build upon as you work through your other chakras and work your way up. Especially if you're trying to do a Kundalini awakening or work on, you know, eventually third eye opening or activating the crown or any of that. All right. So I hope that kind of gave a different perspective on the root chakra because so many times when we talk about chakras, we talk about it in the context of just the mystical side of this. But there's a lot more to it than that. These are real things that work with real issues, and it's important to do the things to work on that healing for these base issues. And once you get past those, it's a lot easier to start moving up and working on other things. And depression is one of those things where it's real. There's some people that just want to look at, shiny, happy clouds all the fucking time and say, don't be sad. Well, real people have real emotions, sadness, anger, all these things. It comes about. It's just learning how to control them, how to deal with them, and how not dwell on them. And that's really hard sometimes. Again, for people who have never really had to deal with the real thing, they're not going to understand. If you guys have dealt with these issues, you know what it feels like. You know how crushing it is. When you're in the middle of severe depression, getting up off the couch is a challenge. And it's not that you don't want to. You want to. You want to go do things. But it's like there's something inside that just won't let you move. Yes, I know. I know. I know. So, all right. So we've talked about depression, sadness, and things like that. So we're going to move forward on something a little more energetic, if that's okay with everybody. We're going to talk about mudras a little bit. So, uh, who here knows basically what a mudra is? Anybody? I'm going screen to screen. I'm on dual screen here, so while I'm looking away, I'm over here at this. Yeah, we're all broken toys around here, so that's kind of normal. Okay. So a mudra is a hand position. It's used when you're meditating. When you see this little prayer position, what's prayer or namaste or however you use it, it's a mudra, right? When you see people meditating using this, that's a mudra. Each one of your fingers represents a different type of elemental energy. And the way you combine those elemental energies along with the meridians or the nadis or whatever you want to call those energy lines that flow through your body helps you create different effects. Whether it's because of the energy or because of what you're focusing on, but it helps you concentrate better and work with focus on these things. So, oh, hi. So what we're going to do is I've got a short little presentation I built up that gives us a basic idea about how mudras work. And it's very quick, very simple, but check this out. This is highly simplified, but think of mudras as hand positions used in meditation or other practices. Every finger represents a different element. Combine different fingers in different positions for different results. Once you understand this, you'll get an idea of why some mudras mean some things, and you can experiment and create your own. The thumb represents fire and the solar chakra. Next finger represents air and the heart chakra. The middle finger represents ether, cosmic energy or spirit, and the throat chakra. The ring finger represents earth and the root chakra. The little finger represents water or the sacral chakra. All right. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? That each one of the fingers corresponds to a different element and to a different chakra? I know you did, Retha. You actually have a very in-depth understanding of the majority of this stuff. It's just sometimes you don't click on it instantly. It takes a second, and you go, "Oh yeah," because you've worked with this a lot. We've worked with this for a good period of time. So we're going to do a guided meditation now, and I want you to remember those fingers and what we just looked at, and try to remember which element goes with which finger. So if you got headphones, probably a good time. This is a very short meditation. It's just 4 or 5 minutes, but we're going to go through and do a loving kindness meditation because we just went through talking about the root chakra and how to work with it. And we'll do more. There are a lot of things you can do to work with the root chakra, and it helps with healing tremendously. We'll talk about the practical uses of that more and go deeper. And we're going to go through the other chakras as well, because again, this is not just theory. The reason I've taught the way I've taught is because before I started getting into these things, I wanted to give you guys some history, some background, some understanding so you can take it to a deeper level. I didn't want to just toss out, oh yeah, these colors go along with this, blah, 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 because there's more to it than this. And for a solid understanding where you can have your own thoughts on things, how you can look at things and say, okay, well, this means this, connect the dots, point A to point B, without somebody pointing the finger and telling you this is what you should think, you need to know the background. So everybody relax, take a breath, and we're going to do a quick meditation. And yes, Rita, they do. There are different points all along your body that are connected with the chakras. But for now, we're going to focus. Right now, think about all the positive things that you like about yourself. Breathe deep. Inhale fully. Exhale, allowing yourself to feel grounded. Now, whatever love means to you, whatever that emotion conveys, I want you to visualize the color that corresponds to it in your mind. For love, real love, the way it should be, joy and peace. I want you to allow yourself to feel that love for you. Feel gratitude. all the good things. Don't worry about the bad. That can be addressed some other time. Right now, think about all the positive things that you like about yourself, the things you've done for others, the things that make you feel happy. See all that as a color of love. Imagine your body surrounded by love and peace. Everything just having your best interest at heart, wanting what's best for you. Let yourself just feel joy for a moment. It's okay. You deserve it. Now, I want you to think of someone in your life that you care about deeply, that you love, and that you want the best for. And I want you to visualize sending that love and joy inside of you. Send some of that to them. Love is boundless, so you got plenty of it. Send them some love and some peace mentally. Imagine that person being surrounded by love, with the whole world wanting what's best for them, and the universe just conspiring to help them grow and be better, and help you grow and be better. It's like you're sending a little love out, and every bit of that comes back. The more you can send love and the more you can care about others, the more that's going to come right back to you. Let yourself feel that and feel that gratitude. Now, sometimes there may be people in your world that you have a hard time feeling love for and wanting to send gratitude. Could be for a lot of different reasons, but we want to send them just a little drop of that love too, because all you send out comes back. So I want you to visualize someone in your world who you don't really feel like you can send love to normally. Think of that person, and I want you to visualize just a little tiny bubble of love flowing from you in their direction. Now, this is hard to do, so we're going to add a couple things. We're going to do a mudra. Remember we talked about mudras earlier? So, I want you to take both hands and put in front of you. Make a closed fist. Now, raise up your ether fingers, your spirit cosmos fingers. Point those in the direction of this person that you're thinking of. Send that little bubble of love. And we're going to add a mantra to go along with this. I want you to repeat this. Make sure you have your fingers ready and pointed, and follow this mantra. Fuck you. Fuck you. Now, you should be more filled with love and joy. You send some love out to people in your life you care about. And you send some out to people who might not quite deserve it, but still, it's the right thing to do. Breathe in. Fully exhale. Relax. And smile. Oh, I was talking to myself. I forgot to turn the microphone on. I'm still learning. So what I was saying is, did everybody get their mudra fingers up, their ether fingers, and get that mudra right? Yeah, exactly, Miss Retha, just like we used to do. So that's one of those things where, yes, send as much love out as you can, and it really, That's the thing, is you got to love yourself, but you don't have to love yourself to send love. Love is like this huge thing. It's out there as much as you could possibly imagine. And the way we treat others comes back. So that loving kindness meditation and doing for others is so important. And I talk a little bit. The interview I'm about to play, we recorded earlier. She couldn't be here tonight on time to do this, but I talk a minute about how we used to start meditation classes. And we used to start, of course, with Miss Retha in charge of the booze. And then by talking about who we are, and who we are changes every single day. And I would always start out as I am a student, a teacher, a father, a husband, and explore the cosmos and whatever made sense that day. Right? And then we passed it around. But it wasn't for me to say to you guys who I am, or for you to say to anybody else who you are. The whole concept with that is, first off, to help you identify internally who you are. And then eventually to ask yourself the question, am I who I say I am? And what I want to change and improve. I've had a lot of things happen over the last 6 months that reinforced that I am who I tell myself I am. And, I stumble, I fall, I screw up just like everybody else does. But on the journey that I'm on, I think I'm going in the direction that I want to go. And that's one of the things for all of us is starting off what's a meditation class or a morning and asking yourself, who am I at my core? Tends to help make sure that you are on the journey in the way that you want to go. And sometimes you have to take a little swap direction to get there to be the person you identify as or want to identify as. So I don't know where that came from, but since I was talking about it a little bit in this interview, I thought I'd toss it out here. So yes, and boo to everybody. So, and yes, Tabitha, absolutely, it is wonderful to see you here and everybody else, man. Susanna. Um, uh, so again, I'm doing this every Wednesday at 7:30 and every Friday at 10:30. Yeah. So, and this Friday, I've got some more on the tarot series we're working on and some other things, some more fun stuff. But um, before I launch into this little interview that we did, and it's not that long, but it's a good story. She talks about how she got certified in India and where she's coming from, and it's actually pretty cool. Any questions, thoughts, ideas, complaints, Rotten Tomatoes? Hey, watch this. It's magic. I'm still playing with all this stuff and trying to integrate all these toys. Yes, ma'am. Friday, 10:30 p.m. And I keep the past lives up on the page. If you've missed anything that we're talking about, you can catch up pretty easy. I'm still learning how to do this. You'll see the progression as I started from this, how I was barely able to control any of this, and I'm getting better now. I've integrated a whole lot of stuff into this to be able to create what I want and to be able to work with it. So I'm still figuring it all out. So hopefully it keeps getting better. Oh yeah, and I can do this. Other platforms. I'm on a couple of platforms up to here, so um, I'm not able to reply to everybody at the same time. But hi, Bush1G, how you doing? Welcome here. Hey, what book did you get, Rita? And you guys know that I built a resource section on the website, and don't sign up for any of the classes on there if you're on here. I'll eventually teach that all on here, but on meditationunchained.com, if you sign up and go in under the resources, I've got links to all the big depositories online of free books on occult, metaphysical, and holistic information. So there's a ton of free stuff on there. Also, there's a news feed and all that stuff. But don't bother signing up for the classes. The website's free and it's got some cool stuff at the right spot in there. Okay, very good. I'll try to send you some more too. I've got a bunch of those. So we're going to start on this little interview right quick, and we'll see what else you had to say. And I'll be in chat with you guys too. So. So everybody, I have a guest on tonight, and she's going to be super interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff she's doing and working with here in the community, and I think you guys are going to love this. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about what all you got going on right now.
Well, thanks, Doug. My name is Eileen Leslie, and I own Creative Wellness Center in Alabaster. We do yoga. We have some art classes, and I'm kind of in a transition space there right now. And then my home here is a retreat. It's Serenity at Stone Ridge. And I've turned my lovely home into a retreat center, just starting it up. I have 33 acres, and the house is about 5,500 square foot. So it's a nice big open space to do yoga or meditations. I do Reiki as well, and yoga therapy. So all those will be kind of juggled into different types of retreats.
I'll put some links in when we go live on this, because the place is absolutely beautiful. You guys need to check this out. The place is gorgeous, and Creative has got a real nice vibe to it too. I was in there the other day, and that sound bowl that you worked with me on for a minute or two, that was just absolutely awesome. I never had one done like that. I've had sound healing before, but I'd never actually been enveloped in sound quite like that. So tell me more about that.
So I'm just getting into different types of sounds. It's amazing how sound can be so healing, and the vibration. So it's sound, but it's also the vibration of the singing bowls. I use singing bowls, the chakra frequencies, and then I have the metal bowls that are just absolutely wonderful. They give off a really great tone, but also a really great vibration. And where you can put them on the bodies. I also have the weighted, what are they called? Weighted tuning forks, which I love to use as well. So it's amazing how sound and vibration can be so lovely on the body.
I mean, Tesla said the secret to the universe comes in frequency and vibration. I think he was right. Yeah. When you start looking at the chakras and the older view of the chakras, not now where you got the color scheme. Before it was divided, like the root chakra had a group of 4, and it's a lower frequency. And I really think it's always been to where chakras, you get the vibrational frequencies to the sound on those chakras, and I really think it helps get those in balance in place like it should be. It seems like a very powerful modality to work with.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's not only when I'm working with people, I get it as well. So that's what's so great about it. It's and my yoga therapy as well. I just ended a group yoga therapy class. I work it each time I do it. It's an 8-week program, and each week is a different theme. And it starts out with befriending the body, awareness, acceptance, choice, discernment, truth in action, and then flow. And today was choice. And it's that's what I love about what I do. I'm doing it because it's helping me as well as helping the people I'm working with. And it's just lovely to have that win-win.
Yes. I think the important part about being a teacher is you learn as you teach. I mean, when your students are there and they are experiencing things, you also get a little bit of benefit off that, not just in the karmic joy of doing it, but in seeing how they react to things. Lets you know how, when you get another student in that same position, it gives you a little bit more insight on how to work with them. So tell me a little bit more about your yoga therapy. That's a little bit different than normal yoga, right?
It is. It's extremely different than just yoga. And when I say yoga, I actually, as we'll discuss a little bit, I learned yoga in India. I didn't really practice yoga before going over there. I didn't even realize there was different types of yoga. I was just drawn to it. And when I got back from my yoga training there, I really just was in a big life shift. And I asked myself, you know, what does my body want and need? What does my soul want and need? What does my mind want and need? And I answered those questions. It was my body needs movement. My mind needs constant learning. And my soul needs authentic human connection. And I literally Googled those things with yoga and found Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy. And so I thought, well, what is this, you know? And it's lovely. Yoga is so much more than just postures. I mean, the postures are a tiny, tiny bit of what yoga is. It means unite, you know, you're uniting your mind, body, and soul. And so much of the yoga is internal work, is really looking and learning yourself. And so that's what yoga therapy is. It's kind of a cross between like a Reiki massage, yoga, and then talk therapy. We do dialoguing during it. So say if somebody has a shoulder that they keep having to go to the chiropractor for to get it in place or whatever, I actually will do some shoulder work, maybe some postures. It doesn't always have to be postures. It could just be movement. It could be stretching. And as we're doing it, I'm dialoguing with them. And it's getting down to the root of the problem, because a very high percentage of physical ailments, other than something acute like breaking an arm or something, really has a mental, emotional, or spiritual meaning behind it. And so if you can get down into those, it's called the issues in the tissues, right? If you can get down to those issues in the tissues, you can really start processing stuff out of the body. And I say that from personal experience. Like, I went there just to do my own work and had such a wonderful growth and awareness from it that I have to just share that with other people, because I did talk therapy. I have a trauma, past, like most of us have our own traumas. I've done the talk therapy. I've done the EMDR, but I didn't realize I was still holding that in my body. And wow, so different when you process things out of your body. It's lovely.
Yes. And it sounds like you're working with the subtle body as well as you're going through this. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And it's nice pairing the Reiki with the yoga therapy as well, because there's just so many different modalities that combined and can really come at different angles.
I read something one time, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it was talking about Usui Reiki and the beginnings of it, and how ideally a healer, someone who has been broken, who is hurt, who has hurt others, and has come back from that and is still working on themselves. Because when you do that, you're a little bit more in tune with those people who are going through those sufferings and those issues and those things themselves. So
yeah, absolutely. Part of the yoga therapy is listening to people, right? It's just hearing them and helping them solve their own problems. I don't tell anybody what to do. I'm trying to guide them into their own journey and figuring out their own needs. And that's empowerment, so many of us like to tell other people what they need to do. But those things, nobody changes that way. I don't change. If somebody tells me what to do, I don't really change. But when I can
I'm going to do the opposite usually.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to do the opposite usually. Unfortunately, I'm that Leo. I'm that, I won't be bossed around, and I do listen as best as I can when approached properly. But when told what to do, it's just my nature, and I've got to work on that. But I'm stubborn and I'm ornery sometimes about that kind of thing. But like you're talking about, actually working with people and speaking to them and with them without telling them, well, you need to do so-and-so, but let them work it out and figure out exactly what direction you go. It's like that saying, a good teacher doesn't tell you how to interpret something. They just show you what direction to go to find the information.
Yeah, so true. So true. We were just talking about that in class, is at the end of the yoga therapy class, Each person kind of shares their experience of the theme, and I just mirror them so that they hear their experience. They felt it and they're there present, but then to mirror back their experience, they get to hear it and they get to clarify it. So they're like, well, that's it. Or they'll say, well, it's more kind of like this. And then they get to hear themselves, because when we talk in our brain all day long, it's so different than when we speak it. And it's not so much we speak to be heard. That's great. It is nice to speak to be heard, but it's speaking so that there's a safe space that I can hear myself and I can solve those issues then, rather than just bouncing them around in my head.
One of the exercises I used to do in my meditation classes was one of the first things we did. We did a grounding exercise. Then after that, I would start off by explaining that for today only, back to that Reiki thing, but for today only, I am a student, a teacher, a father, a husband, a grandfather, and so on and so forth. And then I would pass that on to the next person. And the goal of that was never for me to explain to them who I was, or them to explain to anybody else in the class who they were. The goal was just for them to speak aloud how they identified and to be that person in a better way. Because I think once you vocalize it, then you vocalize that you said this, you identify as this, and you tend to follow that path a little better. A lot of people will go, well, I am a construction worker, I am an insurance agent, I am this. And when you start saying things like that, to me, you lose a little bit of the humanity of who you are, because we identify sometimes as our trade or our associations with others, and we forget who we really are. So I really like that modality that you're working with, of having people voice and vocalize things, because again, words have power.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So true. And I do love to see the students or the people taking it really find empowerment. Like each week they're like, oh, this is it changes lives. I've gone through the process several times now, and it's just so lovely. I learn more and more about me every day.
Yes, and that's important. It sounds really great. So are your classes structured to where you go from a starting point to a finish, or can people jump in at any time, or how's it work?
No, so the process, it's an 8-week process, at least 8 weeks. It can be 9 weeks as well. Each week is a theme, and then they have homework or, stuff to do at home with meditation and journaling and, practices like that. And they just focus that week on the theme. And then like next week, halfway through, we have a silent retreat together. And so we'll be spending the day, Sunday, silent together with different, activities that it's super fun. And then we'll have the class afterwards. So it definitely is a process. Now I could do, not the whole process. There is I have at my yoga studio, I've done a day, a class, an hour class from the yoga therapy perspective. It's really powerful that can happen. But when I'm doing the group, the whole course, you have to really commit to the process, because it builds on each other. Each week builds.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, a lot of times the first things you come across, like if you're doing chakra work, you have to start at the base, start with the root, and work your way up, because it's important that you have this one thing healed before the next, and it all intertwines. It sounds kind of the same way with that.
Yeah, definitely, because you have to befriend your body, which is the first class. You have to befriend your body before you're going to ever have awareness of it, right? Most people don't think about their body ever. They get dressed, they shower, they get dressed, they go. They don't think about or they think that they're just focused on one pain area and they don't think about the rest of their body. But you start with just befriending your body, and just like you would with a friend, right? What do you do when you meet somebody new? You got to spend time with it and understand it and listen, right? You listen. But yeah, it's a really great progression.
Yeah, that's and did you learn that when you got back? You said after your trip to India, so you started
exploring
things.
Yeah, Yeah, I
So
started it. I got back from. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask where the base foundation was. So what was the first thing that you got involved in? For me, I've been playing with different things, meditations and things for many, many years. And then I learned a little hypnotherapy, other things. On my journey, it's just been all over the place. There wasn't one particular spark point. So with you, was there a spark point? Was there one thing you learned that led into everything else? Or where'd you start?
I started just, my life blew up 6 years ago. My life blew up. I was living in a city that I wasn't from. I was married. I moved here for my husband's family. His parents were aging, so we moved here. And my life blew up. And I ended up really just lost for several months. And I realized I was extremely codependent. So I started going to Codependence Anonymous. It's kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous, but for people who are like people pleasers or, looking out here for everything, right? And so I just started that, and I started learning about myself. And I just poured everything. I didn't work at this time. I was alone in this big home, and I just spent time reading and learning and like, why did this happen? How did I end up here? I was so planned my entire life. How did I end up here? And it was lovely. I mean, my heart was broken, but my heart was broke open. And I started like really understanding self-love. And like I said, I was drawn to yoga, and I don't even know why. I didn't do yoga before. I think I've done yoga a couple times at P90X yoga, and that's not yoga.
No, that is torture is what P90X is.
Right. So I just started learning, like, what do I want? I want to learn yoga, and I want to be on a beach. I need water. I need a beach. And I went online and looked and found this studio or this retreat center in India, in Goa, India, called Kranti. And I just ended up there. I literally jumped on a plane, got there at 3:00 in the morning, and got in a taxi and drove for a couple hours. I mean, I just trusted. Yeah, I just trusted by myself. Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely awesome.
It was fantastic.
Had you traveled much internationally before?
No, in fact, I hated flying. I was fearful of flying. It took me tequila and Xanax to get on a plane. And so, no, going cross country, that was extremely bizarre for me to do. But it was wonderful. What I realized before going there, my fear of flying was because I never showed fear anywhere else.
Okay.
My whole life, I've been so I've had to be fearless. And for whatever reason, flying, it was okay for me to fear flying. And so all of my fear came out when I flew. And I worked on this. I realized this prior to going to India. So it was a lovely, lovely flight, lovely experience flying there.
So you get off at the airport, you're in a strange country. I don't know how many people speak English there, but it's got to be chaotic. I've seen videos through there where there's a ton of stuff going on. So what were the sensations like? What did you see around you? What did you experience?
Well, like I said, I got there at 3:00 in the morning. So you would think that it wouldn't, a lot's not going on. But at the airport, there was. So getting into the cab, and then, like I said, I think we drove for a couple hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I didn't know where I was going. I just said, here's where I'm going. And it was crazy. The roads are not really roads, like for 2 lanes. Cows laying around everywhere there. Dogs, cows, those little taxi things were around. Yes. But it was in the middle of the night, so there wasn't a lot, I could see just all the animals and stuff. That's what I remember driving there. And then when we got there, it was about 5:30. And then nobody was really up or around. So I just somebody greeted me and said, we start class at 7. So wow. hour and a half of just walking on the beach, kind of in awe. And then class started at 7:00 that morning.
Wow. So you basically walked into a new life. You got on a plane, you went and completely changed everything. That alone is inspiring.
You know, that was, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It was, the wonderful thing for me was because of my codependency, I was around people that didn't have any knowledge of me. Like the whole time I was there, I saw 3 other Americans. Everybody else was from all around the world. And it was the first time that I got to just like start exploring me without any expectations from anybody else.
Yeah, that's powerful in itself. So what did they start you with?
Well, I got trained in Ashtanga. And Ashtanga is a pretty hard yoga. It's the same thing every day. And so we started training with Ashtanga. And then I got my 500-hour training there. So I was there for a few months.
Okay.
So I got trained in Ashtanga, Vinyasa, and Yin. And I just fell in love with Yin.
So tell me about the different styles.
Okay. Ashtanga, like I said, you do the same thing every day. And the reason for that is you're trying to understand like how your body changes day to day. Some days it's good. Some days it's more flexible. Some days you're tired, and so the schedule of it really tries to get you out of your head and just in the practice. But it is a little more difficult. It can take you up to 2 hours to do the full circuit. Okay. And then Vinyasa is more of a flow. So you're doing postures, but you're flowing from one to the other. So it's a beautiful practice. And then the Yin, you've heard of the concept Yin and Yang.
Yes.
So Yang is, of course, like daytime activity, those types of things. Yin is the opposite. You're not warming up. You're doing it cold. You're getting down into the deeper tissues, which is your bones, ligaments, joints, and fascia. And so you're holding the postures longer, like 3 to 5 minutes. You're supported in discomfort. It's a tolerable discomfort, but not pain. And so basically what it's doing, like if I'm flexing my muscle, that's Yang, I'm using my Yang tissues there. If I'm doing Yin, I just let my arm fall. And what it does is it allows moisture and nutrients to get down into those deeper tissues. Okay. So it's a much more of an internal practice as well. Yang is more like activity, more masculine traits.
Right. So
and the Yin is more
Got to remember to turn this microphone on. This is a really nice mic, but I keep forgetting to turn the damn thing on. Again, I'm still learning this stuff. That interview goes on for a good bit longer. I'll post the whole thing on some of the other channels and stuff, but I think you get the idea. She had a lot of really cool things to say down through there. It sounds absolutely fascinating. So that's pretty much all we got for tonight on this, but we covered a lot of ground with a lot of different places. I'm trying to break things up because I know it's hard to concentrate when I spend an hour and a half talking about the history of this, but I think we've gone through most of that we need to do. But I'm also going to do a separate thing that is a history of esoteric thought, the real history of paganism, all that stuff, and explain how things came about and all that good stuff. Just because it'll be fun for me, but I'll do that on a separate night on the other channels and things. So thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Hey, I got a wonderful. So I'm going to go over here and play with this and make it go. Sorry, I like the confetti cannon. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, I appreciate all y'all being here. I'm honestly, humbly, really, truly appreciate everybody who takes a little time out of their life, out of their day, to spend a little bit of time on here, listen to me babble incoherently half the time. And I'm trying to build up a logical program and a logical progression from this. And we're at the point now where I can actually start showing the nuts and bolts and how to work with these things, how to use them. I've explained what they are. I've explained some of the dangers on the Kundalini side. And I've explained how to work with this stuff. So from here, we just keep going forward. And if there's anything that you guys know that I teach that you'd like to see me address sometime, let me know. I'm going to be doing some things on pendulum work later on. That's not one of my big things, but I've been doing it since I was 15. So, yeah, we'll toss that out. The tarot series still has a long way to go because we're talking about each card and how it relates to the Kabbalah and all the other things that go into it. So that's got a ways to go. But I've got other things in the works. Miss Rita, we will continue to talk about the Kabbalah on Friday nights during the tarot class, and eventually I may do a class on a little further on it. And I will there's a meditation that Rita likes a lot that we used to do, and it's the middle pillar meditation. Now, there's more to it than I was able to teach in class. So we'll go a little bit deeper into that some night, and we'll have a whole live one night doing the middle pillar meditation and the details for that and work on the Kabbalah. I'm just building this up as I go, and I appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all soon.